Right,
Hello. Hello and welcome to episode eight. Yeah, I'm losing track. 8.
Welcome.
Of Illuminating rounds. Here we are with our first sponsored episode. Thanks to Franc Tireur, who sent us over last week. They sent us a copy of
Fight For Seoul.
Yeah, and your excited voice again. You've gone for your. Oh, look at this. So you're.
I'm excited about Fight For Seoul.
Yeah. And you've taken a good look, and as you can see, we've gone to Seoul.
Yeah.
Tricky to get in, but you got your visa sorted out right at the end.
Yeah, and we had to go to 1950s Seoul, which is even more difficult to get to.
It was, but actually North Korea is kind of that way still. So I'd love to hear about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Absolutely.
In due course.
Yeah.
First thing to do is really to thank our patrons.
Absolutely.
So we have a couple of new patrons, so thank you. I've got a list of them all here. So Benjamin, thank you. Brian, David, Indy, Jason, Nick, Randy and Rob, thank you. We really appreciate all your support.
So how many is that?
So we've had 8 in total.
Yeah.
So we are 2 short of giving away our deluxe pack that we're looking forward to doing. Mm-hmm. So basically we get 2 or 3 more subscribers for patrons, then we are off and away, and we can give that out next week, and hopefully we can roll the dice and we can give a copy away.
Is that how we're going to do it? The dice?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do something ASL like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Random selection somehow.
Yeah. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. So what have you been up to this week?
So quite a bit on the ASL
Happy
front,
New Year,
actually. Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, absolutely. So I've carried on with that Pegasus Bridge campaign game with Martin Mayers, and it was the first day, so it's actually the dawn scenario, right. And this is the first scenario where the Germans get some significant reinforcements, and it's gone a lot better than I thought.
Okay.
It's gone a lot better than I thought. Yeah, it was looking grim.
Yeah.
But he's wiped out sort of one side. I don't know which way. Looking at the map, it's the right hand side. I'm not sure which way is north. Doesn't help. But if you have it the way where all the words are looking at you, it's the right hand side. And he's wiped out my force over there, including my 10-2 leader. But I rolled another one. My reinforcements, they come in on the right, and on the right, they're coming in and they're pushing their way their way back in. Yeah, exactly. No, it's going a lot better than I thought. I've been doing that, and I've more or less designed a scenario in a very, very rough state, very rough condition.
And we're going to play test that, and then we're going to hand it out to our patrons.
We're going to hand it out to our patrons. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's to look forward to. So again, thanks. Another reason to join up on that list and play our scenarios. So we're also going to talk. So I should talk about the archive. So this week, because I've had a bit of time off, it's been nice to do nothing over Christmas and New Year, that awkward period. So I sat and did some geolocation on all the scenarios. So what this means is, if you're on the beta, if you have access to the beta site, and I'll give you a sneak preview, Martin, in a second. But what you can do is see now a Google Map representation of where the battle takes place of every scenario. So on the right hand side now, there's a little map. You can scroll around it and see. And it's really interesting because, for example, things like Fighting Withdrawal, which talks about it takes place in Finland, this kind of place. Well, that's now in Russia, that area. So you can see kind of how the borders change a little bit. Yeah. So for most of the scenarios where Google can figure out where the scenario designer has set the scenario, we've now got a location for it.
Excuse me, and potentially seeing where you've got quite accurate scenarios, you potentially see what the landscape looks like today.
Exactly. So you could jump up and down as a street view as well if you want to. So that's kind of interesting.
That's a really good development.
That's quite nice. Then what I thought I would do is, because we've got the scenario dates and we've got the location, my idea is we can do some kind of not time lapse, but times kind of like scroll the kind of time of the World War II and see how the battlefront changes based on ASL scenarios. So, for example, in the first month of the war, where are all the scenarios taking place, and then as it moves, as you kind of make the slider, maybe we're going to push into France, and then it'll push back out. So you sort of see where the action's taking place. That's interesting. So that's a little way off yet, but because we've got the data now for the geolocation and the times, in theory,
it's only a matter of time, so you can sort of do that.
Yeah. So that's
excellent. That's very good.
All right. So we're going to talk about our top 5 maps as well. Yeah. So this was a little challenge set. We also got asked to do are things we might say to loved ones during our intimate
Yeah, and
moments.
people suggested some things,
Some
didn't they?
pretty awful things. There was Unlikely Kill was one of them. Which
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous about. Underbelly Hits was another one. Things like that. I did find one in the in A 4.5. So when your partner does ask for that second time around, if you need a get out clause, you can always say, well, double time can't be used by a unit that will mount or dismount any form of conveyance. So
there we go.
He might get you out, something like that. But we thought we'd take it a little bit more seriously and talk about maps today. So top 5. So in reverse order.
In reverse order. My number 5 then is board 21.
Okay.
And this is
we'll do it on
we'll do it on the thing.
No, you can put it. We can talk about it.
So this will go back to Yanks. This would have been. I would have thought this would have been originally released, and very, very distinctive because it has this huge graveyard in the middle.
Yep.
And my strongest sort of memory of playing this particular. Actually, it's in Fighting Withdrawal, isn't it? Which we've already mentioned. Yeah. But my strongest memory is Among the Ruins.
Oh, okay.
Which I played with an Australian gentleman called Legion on Game Squad. We played by email very, very long time ago.
He was like a vassal master. He had lots of vassal games going.
Yeah, and he's got a really good website where he does after action reports on all of these, including the one that he played against me. I think is there. And I just think it's a really great board. Really interesting.
As soon as I see that, I can't see anything other than Fighting Withdrawal on that board. But I think we've played Fighting Withdrawal a few times, and we played it recently as well for a potential video that we kind of thought about doing. But yeah, it is a very nice. You kind of progress through the city, don't you? It's kind of like got that.
And it's got different stages to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting because you've got sort of like tall buildings and smaller buildings that you can see over.
And it was one of those weird things where you're playing the first scenario of the first pack, and you're looking at board 21, and it kind of gives you this impression of wow, there's a lot to come. If your first scenario is board number 21, you kind of expect it to be board 1, 2, 3, but it's obviously with the squad leader things. So it's a nice board, and I always like the roundabout. That roundabout up in that little section there for they didn't want to do a crossroads. So
it's handy if you're going up because you don't have to worry about which way the vehicle's pointing. You don't have to pay the extra.
You have to give way. Excellent. Okay, good stuff. Good. All right. So my number 4 was board number 41. Now this board here, interesting. Everything's going on this board. There's a bit of everything. Something for everybody. It's a type of place.
About choosing this one.
Did you? It's a pretty board, isn't it? There's everything. There's hills, there's buildings, there's streams, there's gullies, there's I think it's marsh as well. It's the type of place I'd like to live. Just somewhere where there's a lot of interesting kind of things to look at and fight over. The bridges in particular. You've got all those areas. And 2 scenarios that spring to mind when I looked at this were Reluctant Tiger and the Tea Patchers. And the Reluctant Tiger we've played. I don't know if you remember this one.
We've definitely played it, yeah.
It's got a tiger that sits there, and obviously tigers are impenetrable for everything, but it's a little bit shy, and so every time it gets hit by a bazooka or a gun, it has to take a normal task check, and if they fail it, they recall the tiger. Yeah. So it's quite a nice kind of like a brittle tiger effect, and it's you've got places to hide the tiger, and you can kind of sneak around the back. And Tea Patches is just a classic scenario.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just funny you should mention that this is the sort of place you'd like to live, because at one point they were talking about bringing out a sea lion sort of series of scenarios, weren't they? Which would be set in this part of England, East Anglia, where I live. Yep. And I just longed for the idea of a campaign game of my area.
Well, you've got the boards on your little pad.
Well, do you know what? Absolutely. Yeah. But I've got 2 or 3 neighbours around here live in old houses. I just love to rubble them.
Hey, that's certainly
that's a great
great good stuff. Okay, there you go. So board 41 for me.
Thank you.
All right.
So my number 3 is board 42.
Right.
Which actually is related to board 41 because weren't they both in Action Pack 1?
That's right. Yeah. Mine was in a Croix de Guerre. Yours was Action Pack 1 and Action Pack 3. You got it. So there's 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Two Action Packs.
It was board 43 that came with this, I think, in the original Action Pack.
Right.
But these were really, when I first came to ASL, these were really difficult to get hold of.
The Action Pack 1 was. Do you know something? When we had that funny incident with the tea over the boards. And I wrote a blog at the time, and I think I wrote up or maybe a forum post. But my little kind of jokey comment was, my first worry was, is it my Action Pack board? Yeah. Because that's how hard they were to get. They were, the Action Pack was
very, very expensive if you wanted. I remember I eventually bought a hard one of somebody in the US. Really nice guy said, if ever in the US, come and stay, bring the kids.
Okay.
He's a very, very friendly guy. I mean, that's how much I paid for the board. He was happy to give me free board and lodging. But and people used to talk about it. People used to go, "Oh yeah, board 42, what a great board!"
Yeah.
But it is a great board because it's easily everyone's got it now with the starter kit style.
Yep.
The game I remember playing with this was I played it twice actually. Mm-hmm. But the time I'm thinking of is I played John O'Reilly, and on board 42 it was a scenario called Lenin's Sons, which is a Schwerpunkt scenario, I think. It's quite a well-known one. Yep. And what I like about it is that the Germans have to move in that direction,
and the Russians
are
concealed, aren't they,
in the woods? Yep. And they've got the choice. You can either go quite slowly through the woods, but it's relatively safe. But there's a question mark whether the Germans will get to the victory condition area in time, or they can go the quick route, which involves obviously -2 modifying shots and stuff. So that's quite an interesting sort of dilemma there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It gives you people choices. Yeah, and it was interesting. So this was the map that had a famous misprint in the few returned pack. There was a hedge in the wrong place.
Few returned, it was wrong.
That's right. Yeah, few returned. So you got the right version in the map bundle and in the obviously the original action pack.
Which is why I've got 2 paper versions of this, and I don't know whether this is the right one.
Right. That's the change. They also MMP does. You can download a errata overlay for it.
Yeah.
And you can pop that on. But yeah, it's interesting because I'm sure there are scenarios that have been played. Was it one of these ones here? I can't remember. But one of the hedges in the slightly wrong place. But yeah. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. My number 2. I wanted to get one of the double wide boards. I love the double wide boards. They are good. There's not very much innovation really in ASL over a 30-year period, or coming up to 30 or 35 years. But the double wide boards were fantastic. So the fact that
I remember playing a game on this against Trevor.
Okay, interesting. So one of the funny things is trying to work out the difference between the two, and swearing there's absolutely no difference at all. But there is. They do. Can you remember what it is?
It's how they match up.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Which.
But I can never. I look and I can't see the difference.
I can't tell. Yeah. But I know because they were cleverer than you and I when they designed these balls, knowing that they have to do them in a slightly different configuration. But the fact is that they just. I like playing it. To me, having 2 double wide boards side by side is a nicer, squarer playing area to play ASL. It's quite a nice. It just feels quite right. I don't know if that's. Yeah. It's probably exactly the same size when I look at it, but it feels like it's just like a nice kind of size to play on. And the fact that they give possibilities to boards when you butt them up against other boards that you didn't necessarily think about.
You couldn't do otherwise.
Yeah, and we've seen kind of boards that, or scenarios that have even played in like an L shape. I think we've played one where this part, either it's the other side of a stream or a river that doesn't come into. I think one of them is a little part, but they just give a different feeling to ASL in the way that they give some life. I don't think I've played it on board 4A or B. But one of the scenarios I did look at that for the name alone, you say potato, I say poisson en bassin, which is a brilliant scenario name from the Canadians at Warpack.
And that's played on this one.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. So I did. Yeah, it just looks like a great ball to play on. Middle board, hill village. Little stream, attack it from any angle through the grain field and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool.
4A.
Brilliant. And so the number 1 for me, obviously not necessarily.
I'll agree with you, Martin.
Okay.
On camera.
Is board 3. So I thought there had to be a proper classic from the original squad leader days. Yeah. And of course, everyone's played lots of games on this. Yeah. So the reason I like it in particular is because of the hedgehog and Pieps, which I mentioned in other illuminating rounds things. I just love that scenario. I've played it many times. But there's Gavin's Take, and there's quite a few very, very well-known scenarios played on this. And I'm sure any seasoned ASL player would feel very at home moving into that village.
Interesting, they printed shell holes on the map, which always seems like it's almost like a tattoo, isn't it? It feels like it's a bit permanent. There's no coming off of that, really.
Absolutely.
Was that because Squad Leader didn't have shell hole counters?
I can't remember now. Okay. I can't remember now. I don't think the original squad leader Gamette or whatever had shell holes. Okay, no, okay. I suppose it's a leftover from a different game, isn't it? And so boards now don't ever.
I wouldn't like to say that. No. I don't think I've seen them
because you can add them by SSR.
Can't you? The classic kind of orchards and shell holes, which is quite one of those nice OBA.
It does add a bit of feel, kind of like sort of historical feel. And I suppose you could say by SSR that the shell holes
orchards or something,
or
not there.
Or not there.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, it does give it that, because they do sometimes feel like a nice ordnance survey map that doesn't give you that sense of we're playing in a battlefield here.
Yes, exactly.
They're a little bit too pristine, other than obviously like the red barricades, but maps where everything's just gutted and just in all sorts of mess. But yeah, excellent. I love the board as well. I think it's a really good one.
You've got the lovely big tall building, haven't you? It sees over everything.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's really, really nice. Okay, good stuff. Good.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to Le Franc Tireur's
right. Yes.
pack. Yeah.
Okay. So my initial thought about this before I looked at it was that I might not have bought this. It's 110 euros from the website, and I sometimes worry that things like this, like a little pet project, a little vanity project by somebody, whatever. But this is a brilliant set.
Okay. What do you get? What do you get with the?
Okay. What do you get? We'll start with that. Okay. So the first thing is, I'm putting these in front of me, but that you get two campaign games for the price of one. Okay. So you get two very, very big maps. One of them is of the city of Seoul, and one of them is a rural area outside of the city of Seoul. There are, I'm not sure how many scenarios, probably about 20, 25 scenarios, something like that altogether. All of them are played on those maps, which is quite an interesting feature. Most campaign games, you get the geo board ones as well. So you get a lot of, I think you get a huge amount of value just from those scenarios and from the maps. And the maps, I think, are spectacular.
They are. So we're playing today on the Seoul map.
Yeah.
It does look. I mean, it looks frightening. I mean, there's a lot going on. Yeah. There's the graveyards. There's these tight city. Wooden buildings that we can talk about, things like this. On first glance, the maps are very, very impressive. And
it gives you actually in the sort of campaign game. Sorry, in the rules for the Smith's Ridge rules, and there's the rules for Seoul rules, and there's slightly different rules for each of the two maps. They give you pictures of the buildings and things like this is it's the Russian embassy, or this is the school, or whatever, and so you can see what those buildings look like. And I think that gives it a lot of kind of historical kind of like sort of flavour to it. So there are 3 rule books. There's one for the Seoul, the rules for the Seoul game that's set on the Seoul map. There's another one called Smith's Ridge, and that's the agricultural one. The first impression is that looks like a lot of rules. As it happens, you kind of work your way through them. They're straightforward. They're not particularly difficult. There's a lot of overlap between the two, but they're printed in both, so it looks like a lot, but actually it's not so bad. You know, there's rules about high walls, but essentially they're just like factory walls. There's ASLers, I think, will get their head around the rules relatively quickly. And then the third book that you get is the campaign game rules, which allows you to have an entire campaign.
Very similar to the kind of campaign games that we know?
It's very, very similar. Yeah.
Okay. And what about in terms of the printing inside there? Is it well printed? Is it good illustrations?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's full colour. It's I mean, I don't know enough about printing to be able to describe this to you, but it's glossy. It seems good sort of quality. Doesn't feel like
it's not that kind of glossy. How the journal was printed on almost too glossy paper, wasn't it, for a little while?
Yeah, this is much more matte. It's a little bit more matte, but the colour pictures are great. So I think it's I think the kind of production quality is very high, and in fact the maps themselves feel very, very similar to the original sort of red barricades type sort of.
And we've put perspex on there, but mainly just to keep the map down, because it's always a bit more tricky. But they do look a little bit matter than, for example, the newer MMP kind of maps. All right, and counters as well. You got a sheet of counters.
Yeah, just one sheet.
Right.
Now I'm not a big fan of getting thousands and thousands of third-party publisher counters, because I don't know what to do with them, and I don't play with them enough or whatever. But there's just one counter sheet, and all it really does is supplement with a few counters that you'd need to play this. You'd need Forgotten War.
Yeah, so we can talk about that. So for example,
and really all it does is supplement those with a few things that wouldn't be in an ordinary ASL player's stuff. Okay.
So when I came along and last year came across two Korea packs, was kind of thinking this is a bit interesting, because ASL has traditionally stayed away from anything like that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly 2 packs come along.
Yes.
So they're competing products, or are they supplementary? How does that work?
I think they're supplementary. I think it would be. the Forgotten War coming out has made this a much more viable thing to come out, because it seems to me to be building on the rules, official rules.
And you need Forgotten War to be able to play this?
I think you do. Yeah, I think you do.
Right.
Yeah.
So because this refers to some of the Forgotten War.
It refers directly to the rules. The rules from Forgotten War are, are used in this, embedded in this. And also there's counters and things like that. So you absolutely do. And you need things like the charts, like the nationality charts. A lot of the stuff's repeated actually in these rules, but it constantly refers back to the Forgotten War.
So you get a bit more value out of your Forgotten War pack, presumably by something like this.
And I'm not even sure just a little bit of value. I mean, it's a huge amount of value. If you actually want to there's a huge amount of playing time here.
Yeah.
And actually, you're asking about counters. There's a couple of interesting counters too. There's a WTF.
Okay, all right.
I'm not sure what you do with that, but I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to play that counter with you later. And you're taking too long to move.
Okay, well, that's...
Again, I'm not sure what you do. Whether perhaps you stick it on your forehead, like that game when you have to guess what celebrity am I stuck to my forehead. I don't know how you use it, but there's some interesting ones.
So how many scenarios do you know? How many scenarios you get in the? Or we can check
we can check it. Yeah, okay. It'd be very easy to see, but it's about 20, 25, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the campaign game days, do you know how many days? I think it was something like 8. I think it's 8 campaign days in one of the campaigns.
Yeah. Which is very substantial, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you certainly can burn out in a campaign, can't you? If it was, I think the 20-day campaign days are just a little bit too long.
It's definitely too long, yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to. We're going to play Sight on Seoul. Sights on Seoul today, which looks like a nice chunky scenario.
Absolutely.
You said you flicked through them all, and they look quite big, quite meaty.
Quite a lot of them are quite meaty. There's a couple that are smaller. But it was difficult to choose a scenario that wasn't a little bit substantial. It's going to take us the day to play.
So this one certainly looks like it's got some weight in there, and it's also arguably one of the most interesting scenarios from a terms of victory conditions. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that during the game. So it's certainly an interesting, unique almost situation. Ideally suited perhaps to team play as well. We'll talk about that. Okay, so you say it's about 110.
Yes, 110 euros to order from the Franc Tireur website. Designed by Andrew Hershey, who's clearly put a huge amount of work into it. I think I was sort of saying to you earlier that it might be the sort of thing I might be reluctant to purchase because it's not official or whatever. It sometimes worries me that you might have somebody with a kind of sort of vanity project, and something they're interested in, but doesn't necessarily lend itself well to ASL play. We haven't played it yet, but I think this looks fabulous.
Good,
It looks the kind of attention to detail in terms of history. I think is phenomenal. It also looks quite fun, quite interesting to play, and we'll find that out. So
absolutely,
I don't know Andrew Hershey, but hats off to the guy. He's done a really good job of this. And
I agree with you in terms of I sometimes think I've just got a career product. I don't necessarily need another one. But looking at what you get in the pack here, looking at the range of scenarios and the 2 campaign games, we don't play enough campaign games. I know that's one thing that we'll address one day when we all get some more time.
Absolutely.
It's always we mustn't die. I'm going to hold on until I play enough campaign games. But it really does look something like it's a nice package to play. We'll give the shots of the maps and bits and pieces, and we'll interleave that. But on first glance, one thing I always kind of question when we play, we're very snobbish with our English because we're ridiculous. We all live in an English world where we think no other languages exist. With Le Franc Tireur, I've never come across anything where I've thought, this reads a bit weirdly.
No,
it reads as if it's an English native speaker. So there's no issue there with the language.
No, absolutely. No. So, I suspect Andrew Hershey. I've got no idea. I imagine he's probably an English speaker. But certainly that's true of all the Franc Tireur.
Exactly that. So don't think just because they're a French producer that they'll be any kind of.
I definitely would go along with that.
Things like that. The scenarios cards, they're printed on full colour stock. They look good. They've got the graphics as well. They almost look like an official graphics. So they look like arguably nicer than the officials these days because they're the full colour scenarios. There's a whole bunch of historical text associated with them as well, so that looked really good. I'm looking forward to playing it. So that's excellent. Okay, so before we've played any scenario, so your overview, recommended purchase this one?
Oh, absolutely. I think I would definitely buy this. It looks really good, and It hasn't had much playing on.
Right, yeah.
I had a look at, until a couple of days ago. There were no recorded playings on Raw. I'm not sure how long it's been out now.
Right. Okay.
There is 2 now.
Okay.
There's 2 on Raw and 1 on the Scenario Archive.
Okay.
And it did occur to me, I suppose, there might be just a little bit of a bar to play. You know, you've got to have Forgotten War.
Right.
You have got to go through a rule book. You have got to sort of like find counters, perhaps from slightly different locations. But as I say, once I actually started looking, you know, slightly daunted briefly with the rule book, but once I started to look through it, there wasn't anything that really stopped me from getting on with the playing.
And even in this scenario, we've got a unique situation in something I've never had to do. You know, going through canals to try and breach through a wall.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, with presumably bazookas or demo charges, things like that. Never had to do that in ASL. You know, through whatever scenario, or whatever. So it's a unique situation straight away. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We have to thank Xavier for sending us a copy.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good. So a thumbs up for you, and
big thumbs up for me.
We'll talk about it afterwards. Before we get into the game, a couple of bits and pieces. So just to catch up on some of the rules that we got potentially wrong.
Yes.
So the first thing was John O'Reilly pointed out about the railroads in the Stalingrad scenario we played last week. So this is the difference between embanked railways and ground level ones. So I'll show a picture of the 2 different ones to give you, they're not that different, to be fair. And in the rule book, it kind of says, here's a railroad, this is the kind of rules. And then you take out a little blurry line and there's a ground level one. So that's the first thing.
So it was an easy mistake to make.
Well, all my mistakes are easy to make. It's falling off a bike for me. We can't have minefields in rubble.
Yes, and now you say it, I remember that.
Okay. You didn't remember before.
I didn't remember when
my double 6s and 11s were going off on the mines last week. No minefields in rubble, which I put into that's my bad. But we did get the jungle one right. So stray in, not applicable if you're next to a path. So G2.22 was the saviour for that one. So there we go. But thank you we enjoy learning new things.
Absolutely.
Always correct us if you see something that's gone wrong. We're happy to learn, and I think that's part of the value we get from doing something like this. That we learn that. All right. Okay. So onto your setup and talk about that, and then I'll do my setup, and we'll crack on with the game.
Okay.
All right. Good stuff.
Okay, so I'm set up as the KPA in Fight For Seoul, which is the first scenario from the Fight For Seoul pack. It's almost like 2 scenarios. Imagine a line up the middle. This KPA defending force here isn't allowed to move onto this side, and the same for this force. And the Americans are similar. They come on this way, and they're not allowed to cross a certain line. The same with these guys. The Americans got to achieve 4 victory conditions out of a possible 8, but there needs to be at least 1 on each side. So if one side completely gets kind of sort of stopped in its tracks, then the Americans can no longer win. They need to at least achieve 1 victory condition on both sides. Quite a complex mixture of victory conditions. So one is to have enough American firepower firing onto this canal. That counts as 1. That seems to be something that they're very likely to be able to do. The other one is to exit a certain number of forces between here and here. That's worth 2 points if they can do that. And the other is to capture some of these buildings, 5 I think it is, within this area here called the normal school. And the other is to capture these 3 buildings. So that's on this side. So some combination of those victory conditions. On this side, they have to be able to capture these 3 buildings, or this hill hex, or enough firepower on this canal here to fulfil the victory condition. I can't remember exactly what the number is, or to exit a certain number of points off here. It seems to me that on this side it might be quite easy to hold them to potentially to stop them from achieving anything. So this is one side I'm hoping to stop them from achieving certainly a lot. Basically because I think that although these will probably be capturable, I can perhaps fall back very slowly through this sort of dense urban terrain here and hopefully keep them moving very, very slowly. Up here I've got a mortar hip, an 80 1mm 82mm mortar. So that's a very powerful weapon. In here there's a medium light machine gun with a -1 leader. Got lines of sight and bore-sighted locations all the way down to these sort of open ground hexes. Even though they're quite a long way away, it's surprising what they can see. So I think it can really hamper the Americans on that side. One worry is that the Americans can deploy into 3 half squads freely, as many of their squads as they want to, and so potentially there's an awful lot of targets if the Americans decide to kind of like, do that and sort of swarm around. I guess the best advance for the Americans might be through this dense urban terrain, then perhaps onto the hill, aiming to capture this. I think that's possible. It's going to be interesting to see which way he goes. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. This side we've got a couple of interesting features. One is this wall here. Now this is it's called a high wall, I think, in the rules. It's essentially like the walls in factories, blocks line of sight. You can't cross those hex sides. You can't fire through them. Can be breached. That makes coming along here quite difficult for the Americans as they're coming on here. They potentially got to cross this bridge. We got the medium machine gun up here, 2 medium machine guns up here. Unfortunately, I haven't got any other negative modifier leaders, but he can see over this wall because he's up on the rooftop, so he can fire down to these places. And if the Americans cross here, then he can fire into the graveyard as well. And so it's going to be interesting. I've got literally no idea how this is going to play out. It's quite a big scenario, probably a bit big for the time we've got, but it's going to be interesting to play it out.
Okay, so here's my setup for Sights on Seoul. It looks like a very tough situation in terms of the way the Americans have got to attack. So almost, as probably Martin has said, 2 separate scenarios, one on the left, one on the right, with a variety of victory conditions that the Americans can go for. My real plan is just to rely on the 8 morale of effectively the UN troops, the American troops pushing on, and to see how the situation develops over the first few turns. So my pre-registered OBA hexes are going to hit up here on the hill. We're going to aim for the school area, and we're also going to aim for this section here of the attack of the defence of the hills and the early onset of the board. I'm going to try and push through this side of the canal and up to take on this section here, which looks lightly defended. But really, it's going to be just push as hard as I can for the first turn or two and see how the situation develops. That's it. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, all right then.
So, turn 1.
Been tough, hasn't it?
It has been tough.
Yeah.
So the first thing was that the Americans get those 3 almost like OBA,
yes,
kind of like little pepperins.
No impact
at all. So we missed every one of them, and they dropped in the wrong places, and
yes,
the smoke dropped off board and things like that.
There's one smoke still on the board, isn't there? But it's not had any effect on the game.
That's right. Yeah. So you can't wait. You can't wait to tell them.
Well, I kept rolling 3s and 2s, didn't I?
It would be alright if it was just on each dice, but it was the combined total of 3s and 2s, wasn't it? There was a lot. There was a great set of prep fire of open defensive fire from you. But I mean, I think the Americans, without the benefit of that, the OBA style attack, they know they're going to be crossing open ground. They're going to be crossing into heavy machine guns and I think this is why they got that ability to deploy all of the squads, isn't it? So they can take some casualties. And you've got amazing firepower. I think, if as your force starts to kind of like coalesce, in good firing positions and things like that, I think it might feel very different. Your force is much better, much better quality than mine, really. Absolutely is. 8 morale and the 7 firepower squads. So we talked about this is really a 2 scenario game.
It really is.
So
really is.
2 completely separate ones. And so what is interesting about it is I could almost, if for example we just give up on one side at some point, the other side can still be played through as a scenario in itself, and just to see, could you have got 2 of the victory conditions, for example. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I think it's been tough going for me. I got a lucky couple of breaks against you, though. So
yeah, that's true. It hasn't been complete, has it? I mean, the luck began to even up just a little bit, but to be fair, it was very rough for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot of. I mean, you must have lost a couple of squads there.
Yeah, we pulled one back where we got the numbers wrong, so that saved me 2 squads and a leader where we thought that was a KIA.
Where we calculated the attack wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I certainly lost. I think at least a squad equivalent.
Yes.
In half squads and bits and pieces that were just kind of wiped off, if not 2 squads, I think.
Yeah.
So it was tough going. The Americans that deploy into 3 squads, 3 half squads, saved me a couple of times. With a couple of double sixes that I rolled for morale checks and bits and pieces. So I mean, it's tough, but nothing that I didn't expect. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And got to push through. Hopefully, it gets a little bit easier. But somehow I don't feel
let's hope it doesn't. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So turn 2.
Thank you. Okay. Right. We have reached the end of turn 2.
Turn 2. Yep.
David's still not really enjoying himself.
I'm fine. I enjoy. I enjoy the spectacle of your
outrageous. I've been very fortunate. But okay. Now I don't know if you're going to agree with this. I think that despite clearly having ridiculously good luck sometimes. I mean, every time you've given me like a 2 or 3 morale check, I've got a hero.
You have got,
really, basically.
Yes.
Because every time you get a 1 morale check, despite your 8...
I've failed an awful lot of morale checks. Yeah. But yeah.
Despite that, I don't feel like I'm winning. I definitely accept over here I'm doing fine.
Okay,
I mean,
so this is the American left flank,
You're going to get 1 victory point over there, perhaps. That's kind of the way it looks. Okay. Over here, I feel like I'm like on the verge of falling apart. You don't feel like that?
Fragile man.
It's very fragile. I mean, the thing is that mortar and the heavy and the medium is a very, very strong position. It's now completely shrouded in smoke. And it's out of the game for the time being. Maybe for the rest of the game.
Yep.
You're at the bottom of that hill.
Yep.
It's not an awful lot to stop you running up there.
Yeah.
They might be quite good in close combat because there's a negative leader, isn't there? Of course, a hero now.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they haven't got great shots.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I've taken out 2 squad equivalents now of yours.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of slowly making progress.
Yeah.
I mean, it does feel like sometimes I take 2 steps forward and then 1 back, don't I? You know, I kind of push forward and then you break a whole bunch of guys.
Absolutely.
Pull back again.
No, it's been awful.
But you're
to the point that I was getting quite apologetic. I even said to you I was hoping for a 9 or something.
I've
got
a 3. There was a double 1 in there. Yeah, but it's the way it is, isn't it?
It is the way it is.
There's no criticisms.
So you disagree, though? You think it's not?
I think it's. I completely agree with you on the left flank.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that.
It looks like I'm going to get 1 point. It feels like you're right in that it does feel like I can make a breakthrough there.
Yeah,
and it's one of those ones where if I win a few of those kind of firefights and bits and pieces, I'm going to end up getting potentially all of the objectives on that side. And so, in a way, it does feel like exactly. It does feel like it's absolutely possible for the Americans.
You don't even need all of them. You only need 3 points.
3
on that
points.
Side.
Yeah, barring you kind of pushing back, and you do love to attack on the defence. You're famous for going on the attack. So the scenario is good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit dissipated by the fact there's 2 completely separate sides.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to mode 1 and then you switch over.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Mentioned before about perfect for team play.
It would. We didn't say that on camera, did we? That you're right. It would be perfect for team play.
But the one thing is, both these scenarios on their own are good scenarios. I think if you chopped it in half and just said these are 2 different scenarios, so in a way it's nice to have the option, like a little bit of a different game.
They could have scenario 1A, 1B, and 1C.
You could
really rather like the Tractor Works.
And the other thing you could do as well is you could play these completely separately. You can, if for example you were to play it by Vassal,
you'd have to fine tune the
in terms of separately but sequentially. So if you wanted to play the scenario, you could play the left hand side as one scenario.
Oh, I see.
And then play the right hand side and add up the back
Yes and no.
Just because you know how many you're going to get on one side.
Well, there's that, but also these units were firing on both sides.
Oh, I see. Right.
So you can.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, and potentially my OBA and things like that. Can that fire across to the other side?
It can fire on either side, I believe.
So yeah, So okay, so you're right. So yeah, no, you're right. So that's a ridiculous situation. Suggestion to
so there'd be only very minor modifications needed to the SSRs, and you could play them separately. No, you could play them separately.
But I'd argue that there's enough scenarios that you don't have to break this type of scenario to do that. So it is interesting. It's running slower because we are switching between the two, aren't we? But I'm enjoying it. It feels different. It does feel like you don't often get like almost like American Marines in a city fight. There's not that many scenarios that we've come across that we've played where you feel like you're playing, and against Russians it feels like it's you're against Russians, which again you don't get a lot of American versus Russians in the Second World War, at least.
No.
So
of course they're not Russians.
No,
but they're very like Russians.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got commissars there, you've got your.
I think the only difference is Human Wave is only by SSR. Okay. That's the only difference.
So one little mistake I think you made with the spider hole, you popped up.
Yeah, I had a spider hole in a position where when you advanced adjacent next to a wall, you kept concealment. I could have revealed myself then, and you wouldn't have kept concealment. And I could have taken a point blank shot, which would have been a 4-1.
Yeah, and then
which may or may not have had an effect, but I think that would have been better than what happened.
Which was I hit you in close combat and killed you in close combat for it. So so
I got the chance of an ambush, didn't I? Because I had -2 for being concealed. But I didn't get the ambush, and I tried to avoid combat then, then you killed me.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I think we're enjoying it, and
I think we're enjoying it.
Yeah, your dice are still on fire there, but that's good. No, I'm enjoying it as well. It's good.
Jolly good.
All right, okay. So turn 3.
Yeah. Right then, end of turn 3.
Don't ask me how it's gone. So we've broken for dinner. We've come back.
Yeah.
I barely remember what we've been doing. So okay.
Number 1, have we bitten off more than we can chew in one day?
So what? Because obviously people don't know the timing now, do they? They've just seen us age a little bit. They haven't seen. Right. So it is now. What time is it now?
It's now 20:25.
So 8:30. I'm
talking years. No, it is. Okay. It's a quarter to 8.
Quarter to 8 in the evening. I got here at just after 10:30, 10:30, something like that. We've obviously had lunch and dinner.
And chats and things like that. And we've had 3 turns.
3 turns. And
5 to go.
I feel like it is 2 scenarios we've played. Almost
I feel exactly like that. Yeah.
We played, which is a great way to play ASL. We could play like simultaneous chess masters. How they play.
I actually really like it in that. But I'm just feeling in terms of like what we're trying to achieve today.
Yeah. We got to get our speed on.
We got to get a move on. Yeah.
How it's going? I think we just had a chat and said that it's kind of in the balance still, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've pushed a little bit further on the American left-hand side. The American right-hand side, I was all primed to jump in with 3 squads into one of your 447s.
Yes, that's right.
And your mortar through the smoke. Had 3 rate of fires
at least,
and just decimated the whole 3 squads.
Yeah. They went away unhappy.
They have, yeah.
But over on the American left, you've got through the graveyard, which on like
with a hero now.
We've got a hero there now.
Hero generator.
And it kind of
broke your kill stack with the mediums on the roof.
I felt really good on the American left flank. And now I feel quite the opposite.
It has seesawed, hasn't it? Whereas one was looking. I think you are still in the game much more than me right now.
Okay.
And I think because the way it works, how I've got to win at least 1 on each side. I think that there's one. I've got a chance for disaster on one side rather than the other. But we're going to push on and turn 4 now.
I thought you were very brave, completely ignoring my stack of dummies. Not if they are dummies.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Left them behind,
so I ran up to them, tried to get a bit of smoke, got a little bit of smoke, and then decided, you know what? Okay, I was going to jump into close combat with them. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to leave.
You'd be so impressed if there's like a little half squad in there.
Your
machine gun.
Fire discipline, because you had a chance to interdict on the way back.
Yeah,
you could have probably broken someone failure to rout, or you could have eliminated them by revealing them because they'd have gone the wrong direction.
They're dummies.
Don't tell me. Don't spoil the secret. All right. Okay. So turn 4. Here we go. Yep.
So we've reached the end of turn 4.
Turn 4. Okay.
Yeah.
It's still dark outside, which is good. It hasn't got light yet.
No, we're way off the morning. Yeah.
All right. So it's tough going for the Americans. We've had a few lucky breaks in that one in terms of we had a big close combat that you jumped into.
Yeah.
So I had a lone squad climbing up the hill to try and take on the mortar and the machine guns.
Yeah, it didn't work out for me. I mean, when I rolled a double 16, and you moved out of the melee.
Yeah.
I was very unsure about doing that actually, but I thought those guys have been shrouded in like smoke for so long.
Yep.
At least out there, they probably take that. Made good chance of taking that guy out in close combat, and then being able to take some shots next time.
Yep.
Didn't work out.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't work out. Yeah.
So I brought the reinforcements on the far American right and have run them up the
and I think that's a very good. That's more or less forced me to fall back.
Although and yet you've moved forward and taken one of the buildings.
Well, I've moved forward a small force
and you
to keep you sort of like DM and captured.
You capture half squad up there as well.
Yeah, I haven't recaptured the building.
Right. Oh, that's right. Because of your okay. You got a half squad, I think. Oh, right. Yeah.
I think I'm just trying to cause a bit of chaos in the background there.
You had a unit. We forgot to mention about the bridge. The guy under the bridge.
Oh yeah.
The troll under the bridge. That
was very effective.
It was he killed everybody, and then you had the anti-tank gun revealed itself, covering the bridge.
With a boulevard -1.
Yep.
Ball-sighted location.
Yep.
And range -1.
Yep.
So they were, what was the rate of fire?
I think you had 13 shots, I think you got on it.
Only 13?
Only 13. Spread across 2 different hexes. It was, and there was quite a lot of criticals in there as well.
There were a lot of criticals. Well, it was only 4 firepower kind of the hits, weren't they? They only rolled on the full table.
And to be fair, I got up a little bit lightly because I think you broke everybody on the bridge hex, and then there was 2 leaders in a squad, and I ended up with a pinned half squad.
Yeah.
In there, so that was.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, I think there was a pinned half squad in there from the start, and then he just took him down.
Shouldn't really be crossing my bridge, should you?
Feels like that. It feels like you have made me pay for every hex. Yeah. Every hex I've had to go forward. I've been hit hard.
Yeah. Gradually, well, I'm trying to get this medium machine gun back into
back on the roof.
But I think I'm going to struggle to ever get that really back in. I'm not sure what's happening over here.
I know.
The standoff there is really interesting to see.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know if they're dummies.
No, and I don't particularly want to find out. And every time, as soon as I move in there, I'm going to be CX arguably, and then you're going to come in at me.
It might be okay moving in.
Might be okay. Might be okay. Well,
but I mean, of course, they might be dummies. But
they might be.
But you won't be CX.
If I just move in there. No, you're right. I thought it was on a hill. I mean, I think it's slipping away from me. I've said I kind of bang through a few of these and try and go through a little bit faster now. But we've got a melee going in the middle there. I jumped out of close combat with the 6.6 with that big melee. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I think it's still certainly possible for you to win.
I think it's like 75.
But I do feel that turn it was slipping away a lot. And and it's like an excuse to say it, stuff like that. But it's been brutal for you with the dice we've rolled. If I were even sort of joking how predictable it is, I roll a 3, you roll a 12. It's just like that's just inevitable. In fact, I went to that close combat because I'm just so blasé. It wasn't even 1-to-1, was it?
You were 1-to-2.
I did have a -3 on mods on the
first
one. And I just thought, all I could do is roll less than a 7.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be difficult. I barely rolled more than a 7 the whole game. But I rolled a 6.
You did. That's evened it back up again. All right.
So
okay.
It's still fun, but I'm glad that I'm on this side, receiving end of things. I've got to say.
All right. Okay. Let's go for it. Turn 5.
Well,
the bids are a bit longer.
Crazy. Fortunes of war. Right.
Right. So. Turn 5 finished. It's getting bloody out there, isn't it? It's getting tricky. So we're trying to speed this up mainly because you've got a life to lead.
I'm getting tired.
So what we think, which is still a bit debatable, but we think that
we decided to go with haven't we? Taking the American right flank as you winning it.
3-pointer.
You got 3 points.
So we think that we can get 10 points off here. With the guys, the hill was taken by the.
I'm not planning to recapture the buildings which you've got, though theoretically I could run off and be a bit of a pain with those. I think it's not absolutely certain if we played that out that would happen.
I agree.
I'm definitely for the
it's
sake
like
of making this
70-80%, I think. But I completely agree with you.
So I agree. That to concede this side,
and
we're just going to play this side. Now, if you win 3 points this side, you've only got to win one point this side.
And I think that's the only point I can really get as well.
Okay.
So and we think that's all going to be around whether we can hold on to these two buildings at the back here.
Yeah.
So,
and there is actually a counter-attack sort of going on at the moment.
Exactly. You've counter-attacked. And I've got a very weak squad there. You've got
a very weak squad, but you have got everything else.
Right, but so now we're pulling back and you're going to kind of attack back in there again.
Maybe, yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. We're going to try and play really quickly now. Let's get going.
Okay, so
all right, we called it.
We called it.
And you did it. You took the building. There was much more force in there than I expected. I didn't expect. I thought maybe there was going to be something small, maybe a leader or something. But there was a conscript squad as well.
There was a conscript squad as well as the 527.
And they got into close combat. Won the close combat, and I think.
Yeah, and then there was the close combat that'd been going for a long time under the bridge. I won that as well, which made it a little bit more difficult for you to bring back forces that had already crossed over.
Exactly.
were coming back.
Yeah.
So okay, what do we?
It's an excellent scenario, wasn't it? I think it really was good, completely unique. I don't think
I've never played anything quite like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you know what? One of the things I was going to say about the review is that there are not a lot of vehicles, and some players will be put off by that. But
I didn't miss them
in this. In this, I didn't miss them at all.
It's a proper city fight, wasn't it? It was a city fight. I love the fact that the Americans get so many toys. So there's a bazooka almost,
every squad,
everywhere.
Every fire team.
Everyone's got a machine gun. Everyone's got stuff to do. Demo charges floating around.
And it was grisly for you because you had to cross open ground and I was sort of entrenched and everywhere you went there was either a minefield or a
spider hole,
or there was something everywhere.
Gun popped up.
Yeah, I had lots of bore sites locations
was
and stuff like that. Really was. But once you smoked the big sort of fire group things on that hill, it started to change, and it became obvious just how brittle the Korean forces are. Aren't they? Once you get close,
it's very Russian-like, weren't they? Very.
It's
just that whole kind of feeling when you start to your commissar. You had commissars who were excellent, weren't they?
They were amazing. Yeah. I was able to turn two leaders into commissars. And it meant, because what you wanted to do, because you got good morale, and you had very, very high firepower, was get into close combat, or get very close, advancing fire, get into close combat, probably win it, and move on. And I was doing all the defensive fire shots and then breaking and routing back to a commissar. And it was only towards the end, really, partly because I was getting tired, I started to kind of muck it up and forget to make your commissar prep fire and things like that. And that contributed to it looking like you would win at one point. And it would be interesting to know what happened if we played both sides out properly. But it wasn't. It was a sensible compromise.
I think that's it, because you only have to win one side, don't you, to do well. So I could never win this game. And I'm more than happy. I think I'm happy losing it. And I think if I'd have won it, I would have felt like, well, did I really win it? Because I didn't really play this side out. So can I really claim a win? But I can definitely claim a loss for this one.
Because
you beat me fair and square on that side. So it's no problems at all. I think really good. I can't stress enough how good it would be for teams, for like four players.
It would be a fantastic team game.
To see how many points the others need. And things like that. And you've also just got to keep in sync, which is a little bit tricky with team games. But really good, really impressive. And enjoyed it, and it felt different, didn't it? It felt like it was so city fighting.
But it was even city fighting with the difference.
Because of the multi-hex fire groups.
Yeah, the multi-hex fire groups that you can't form. The thing about cities is that you end up with 3 squads in every hex with every machine gun it can have, and you can batter down it. But here you can't have big stacks. You can't have multi-hex fire groups. It's also unique, this part of the map, that you've got this massive hill in the middle dominating much of the battlefield.
It felt old school, didn't it? It felt like with the big machine gun stacks, it felt like how a lot of original kind of squad leader and SL scenarios were, with big kill stacks and powerful things moving and trying to smoke them to try and move. The Americans get that just amazing amount of smoke, so you can smoke all the time.
But do you know what? I don't think I've ever killed as many half squads as in that game, and with lucky dice. And even then, they kept coming, didn't they? They kept coming. It was
it was.
I didn't think the end of last turn that I would I thought I was probably going to lose, but
no, really, really good, really impressive, and you play one of these. I think this is scenario number one of the.
This is the first one. It's partly why I chose.
You'd be up for kind of, okay, well, let's play another one and see.
Do you know what? 100%. Yeah. I mean, the only reason we probably won't is that we'll probably have to move on to something else. Yeah.
Now, so the other scenario pack or the other map on this one, same squads and
it's the same
teams and things.
Right. So it's the same size. The rural map. It's the same size.
Okay.
But it's very, very different.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very different to this. And it looks just as visually impressive.
Right.
It would be fascinating to play a scenario from that.
Excellent.
At some point in the future if we have the time.
I mean, a complete thumbs up, isn't it, in terms of just this one. And I'm really pleased because we wouldn't have necessarily played a scenario like this. We can say that this is, it's unique, and wouldn't necessarily recommend it for two people if you were looking for. I mean, it's taken us all day.
If you've got all day, that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah. You've got to know that it's going to take.
But I think it would be a great 4-player scenario.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning that Mark Pitcabbage has reviewed this.
Oh, has he?
Very, very favourably. And
the pack or the scenario?
The pack.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The pack. I think I only read it on Game Squad. I'm not sure if that's on the Desperation Morale website yet or not, but he was very impressed with it.
Right.
And I don't think he played it. I think that was just from looking through.
Okay.
Craig Benn, British ASL on View for Trenches, that came out just a few days, probably a few days before this probably was released. He absolutely raved about it. He loved it. Yeah, he loved it, and it's a long, extensive review. Latest View from the Trenches. Dig that out. It's free online, obviously, for anybody who wants to read that.
Yep.
And Craig Benn, very, very positive about it.
Good. That's nice. He's not positive about anything, so that's.
He isn't. He's a miserable git. Yeah.
Excellent. So, thanks for the game. That was
absolutely
really good.
Thank you.
And so we should. Thank again Xavier and Franc Tireur for sending over this.
Thank you.
We've also got a copy of the From the Cellar and Franc Tireur pack as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to review those in episodes coming up as well.
Yeah.
They look great as well to play. So we'll have a look at those.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to mention before we wrap up?
I can't think of anything else.
It's so late, isn't it?
It's so late. Wasn't there something we were going to talk about?
There was something very important we were talking about. We had a rules question about guns. Okay, so gun. Okay, so in the
final fire phase,
a gun who hasn't fired yet at a adjacent squad. So the question was, if it fires in the final fire, I think it gets marked with a final fire counter. If it loses rate of fire, gets marked with a final fire counter. The question then was,
can't intensify.
Yeah, the question was, could it then intensify?
Yeah, and that's an interesting question.
So I thought it couldn't because the
rules
didn't
benefit you, and and I thought maybe it could because it could. But I sometimes feel like maybe something like that we would just know in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And late at night I just couldn't get my head around it. Like, we'll see.
Yeah. So it wasn't clear about what marker you put on a gun when it fires without a marker in final fire
phase. Yeah.
That's the question.
I think that's a good question.
So if you know the answer to that, please let us know either on the forums or on the YouTube channel or anywhere like that. That would be great. Thanks again, I guess, for all of your comments and things like that. We do like that.
Comments are the best.
Yeah, exactly. We love it. It does show that people stay awake and get through this. And it's a lot of work. I think in terms, sometimes we would just rather just get on with the scenario, but we stop to chat to generate comments and things like that. So thank you again for all that. Anything else?
That's all.
I'd say, do you want to go to bed, but it might might look bad. So I'll say that. Well, thanks again for the game.
Thanks for the game, and
all
thanks
the rest,
for watching.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.